Hey friends, and welcome back to Old Mill Homestead. So today I wanted to kind of do just a quick tour of our garden. We have onions planted. I'll show you where those are planted. We're going to plant potatoes today, and then I'll get you a quick shot of all the seedlings inside, which are all tomatoes, yellow, red, and green bell pepper, banana pepper, and jalapenos growing inside. And then we're going to get our potatoes planted here in Tennessee. We have one more day. I think it's in about 4 days where it's going to get down to 42 at night. After that it'll be high 40s, low 50s, and then continue to get warmer and warmer. So I've been really watching the weather. We're going to get the goats out on the Premier 1 fencing and let them graze for a while. They are loving that fencing. We've had it about a month and it's been wonderful. We have had them out every day that it's not pouring rain, and they love it. I mean, you can just tell how excited they get. So let me run you inside. I'll show you all of the seedlings, failures, successes in there, learning process. I'm not upset with myself. It's learning. We went from not planning on doing any indoor starts to doing indoor starts, and there's a lot. We planted a lot because I had told you guys in the beginning I didn't think anything would take, so I might have over planted. I don't know yet. I do have a journal, gardening journal, to keep up with to see what I need to grow next year and how much, until I can get those figures fairly accurate. But I'll take you inside and let you see those, then we'll come back out here, get the goats up, and then we'll get to planting some potatoes. Okay, so if you remember, this is what we started with. These 3 grow lights and this little section here. It's turned into this section. There's a huge trunk behind there where all of that is sitting, and then all of this. So it's turned into quite a lot more than I had planned. It's turned into quite a bit more than I had planned. As you can see, we just kind of have stuff put everywhere. So next year what we're going to do, let me see if I can face you a little bit better. Next year what we're going to do is we're going to get a shelf, a metal shelf, and we're going to put it in this area, which you can't see. We're going to get this room cleaned up a little bit more, and then we're going to add grow lights. So we'll have 5 shelves with grow lights, and we'll add a couple more mats, heating mats. And that way we don't have this situation where we can't use the treadmill, we can't hardly get to the printer. It's very crowded in here. There's literally just enough room for me to sit down. But I wanted to show you some of what we're growing. So we have some like this, right, which are leggy, and that's lack of knowledge on my part. So hopefully it still produces. We have some like this that look a little bit better. They're still a little bit leggy. We have some that aren't quite so leggy, but they're back behind that area. So again, it's a learning process. Me not knowing exactly what I was doing when I started. I'm not upset at myself. I'm proud of these plants. Everyone will go into the ground, and if they produce, they produce. I'll be tickled pink. I'm very happy with them. Let me show you one of the green bell peppers growing here. Actually, there's 2 in there, but here's one. And that bell pepper is about 3.5. It'll be 4 weeks old on Monday from the day that I planted it. Everything is out of the trays, the little individual trays, and I up potted them to solo cups. Basically, that was the option this year. So because I'm so limited on space, I up potted. These are bell peppers, and there's 4 in here versus the tomatoes. All the tomatoes just have 1. So these are kind of still under the grow light. I'm hoping that they turn out a little better. Again, I'm not upset at myself, and you shouldn't be upset at yourself either. I'm proud of each and every one of these plants because it's been coming in here, nurturing them, watering them, taking care of them, loving on them, learning, and they're sprouting so well. So hopefully we still have a good amount that I think will give us good amounts of product. But even if they don't, again, it's a learning experience. I'm going to plant every one of them. I'm hoping to be able to give us enough for our needs and be able to give our family surplus and our neighbor surplus of what we have. Our neighbors are wanting to get some of the baby Roma tomato starts, and so I'll give them the best looking ones. They both cook a lot, and so I'll give them the best looking baby Roma plants, and then hopefully those do real well for them, and then we'll take the others, because again, this has been so exciting for me and just such a relaxing thing. It's also a learning process. When I started reading about leggy plants, it kind of, me having depression and anxiety, I kind of wanted to get sad about it, and then I was thought, no, God's let you grow all this, and so we're not going to act that way. We're going to be proud of it and happy for it. We're going to transplant it in the garden probably the end of April, and which is still in a couple weeks. I might do it next weekend, but probably the weekend after. It would help to get some of these tomatoes out here so that the peppers could have more light, more attraction to the light. But let's get outside, let's get the goats in the fence, we'll get the potatoes planted, and I'll show you a little bit of how the garden's transformed since you last saw it. So we're taking Rue and Java out to this is the Premier One electric fencing, and I'm just putting them little sweet feed to entice them to follow me, and they do really, really well every time. They love the sweet feed, and they know that when they go into the Premier One fencing and when they come out of it, that they're going to get sweet feed. So that always entices them to be good little goats and follow mommy around the homestead. So I'm just tying it together and realized that I might have forgot the charger. It's inside. Let me go get it. I'll hook that up and then we'll go to the garden. Realized that I forgot the charger, so we're going to hop over to the garden once I get this charger hooked up and get going. Now I've had the onions planted for a hot minute, maybe a couple of weeks, and then the potatoes I wanted to go ahead and get into the ground. Our weather's been a little nuts here, so I ideally would have liked to have already had them in the ground. But okay, so here's the garden. We have all of it. These are the walkways, and then the walkway planting. We have 7 rows all the way down, and they're 75 feet long. Yesterday came out. Here's all of our stuff for rain catchment and the chicken coop, which hopefully will get built soon. Came out and cleaned the goat water and gave them fresh. We added this tarp. We're gonna have to make some adjustments because it's sagging, and if you have goats, they will eat that. But we'll work on that later today. Get my bench. Here, we added these yesterday, these T-posts with some metal wire. This is where the tomatoes are gonna go. It's probably gonna be another T-post worth of tomatoes, but we'll see. We got busy doing other things, so we didn't finish really that project. Here is where my potatoes are gonna go, in this row here. So the beginning 6 feet of each row is going to be flowers, and the end of each row. So pollinators throughout the garden. Got some eggshells over on this side. Our onions are over here. You can see a little bit of growth there. Some of that is weeds, but you can see a little bit of growth coming up in the onion field. So pretty excited. Let's swing back over here. Here's our potatoes. These are from Haas, and it is time to get them in the ground. Just getting the potatoes planted as best as I can. I did Google a little bit before I started this to try to figure out what I needed to do here. Like I said, ideally I would have liked to have done them earlier, but weather in Chattanooga, or weather in Tennessee. So there's Miss Crow saying hello. She's usually my little buddy when I'm out in the garden, and she hangs out with me. Usually I have another one, usually Peaches, or sometimes a couple others will come out and visit from next door, but just just me and Scarecrow today, and just getting these planted. This soil, I had already added some to our present soil. There, she's helping me dig. And so we're just getting those put in. I'm not feeling wonderful about the potatoes, but we'll see. That's kind of this whole theme of this garden is we'll see, right? We'll see how it goes. I'm not going to get discouraged, and we'll see how it goes. I'm going to keep my head up and be excited about things and look forward to what's to come. Okay, so the battery died. What you didn't see was I only had maybe 10 potatoes that I ordered. I'm not sure how those are going to turn out. Previously, and I forgot to say this and show it, I had put some fresh dirt on top of that mound, so I didn't feel like I needed to add fresh dirt when I was burying them. I might regret that. The other plants that we're planting, I have some planting starter to put out just around the plant when I actually transplant it, or the seed, but I did not do that with the potatoes. It might come back to be a bad idea. The potatoes didn't look that great. I'm sure that's nothing to do with where they came from, but the fact that I probably did something wrong with them. Either should have planted them earlier, but honestly the weather's been up and down here. We've had some in the low 20s not at night, and then it gets, you know, depending on the day, it gets up to 79 here. So I didn't want to plant too soon, and that might have been my problem there with those, but again, it's learning. So we have the onions planted, the potatoes planted. We'll transfer some other things in the next week or two, and it looks pretty good so far, best of my knowledge. My first garden ever, so of course everything looks good, right? The other thing, I went back and forth about getting topsoil and compost, but I'm a little nervous with this being my first garden ever of what is the right thing to add it in there without adding crap into the soil. So I think this year, we live in a rural area, and so there's a couple places around that have those products, but I'm not sure that they're not treated with herbicides and all of that. And I'm not knowledgeable enough to speak on it. So talking to someone, I wouldn't know what they were saying, if what they were saying was good or bad. So until I get more knowledge, I'm not going to go get a couple truckloads of either of those. We are starting our own compost here, so hopefully between that, the chickens and the goats, we can have fresh for next year. But you know, this land has been untouched with cattle and horses for a few years, for over 200 years. Well, obviously over 200 years, but in this family for over 200 years, and I don't want to contaminate the soil. So I'm a little concerned about bringing something in that I'm not 100% sure. So what we have is some organic, it's not seed starter, but like basically like potting soil kind of mix, but not potting soil. I can't remember the actual name of it, but that's what I'm going to use when I transplant all the seeds and all the tomatoes and peppers out, and I'll just add some around where I'm putting it and then cover it back on top. Our soil tested really, really well, so I'm not concerned about its nutrition. We are going to do a professional soil test for probably, well, I guess we can do it anytime, but next year I want to get some fruits out here. I want to get apple, blueberry, blackberry, raspberry, and maybe strawberry. We have a huge strawberry farm down the street from us, but again, I don't know how they treat their strawberries, so I don't know if they use chemicals on those or not. So, and for me, some of you, that might not matter to you, but for me, that's why we're doing the garden, because it's extremely expensive to buy organic product, and I don't want to plant a garden and then bring in the same thing I'm trying to avoid at the grocery store. For me personally, I feel better mentally, physically, everything about me when I'm eating organic, and I don't know the science behind that other than it doesn't have the additives in there. But can we afford an all organic diet? No. So I want to do what I can with fruits and vegetables and eggs. So at least we're getting that without the expense of the grocery store price. And you know, again, this is my first garden. If it works out, I'm gonna be tickled pink, and if it doesn't, it's a learning process for me. I'm not gonna allow myself to get discouraged. I'm gonna continue to learn, continue to get knowledge, and continue to enjoy it. That's the most important thing, is I don't want to look at this as a chore. I want to look at it as something that gives me peace and gives me joy. And I think, really honestly, that for me, that's what gardening has done. So from the minute I put those seeds in the little trays to get them growing up until now, which has been about, I guess, 2 months. I'm trying to remember when I planted those. It was around February 20th, February 21st, and today, you'll be seeing this after that, but today is April 12th, I think. And you'll be seeing this a couple weeks out, but yeah, so it's been exciting, it's been relaxing, it's been peaceful, and I want to maintain it that way. I don't want to come out here every day thinking, oh, I've got to go get in the garden and weed and plow and dig roots or dig weeds and pull vegetables, and it's hot. You know, I want to look at it as something fun and enjoyable. So it's just keeping my mindset focused on that this is why we're doing this, is to hopefully have a little bit healthier option for us, for our family and our friends. Ideally, I've talked about this in a video before, I would love to expand our garden, and we're gonna try to do a greenhouse next year and fruits next year as well, and then keep expanding it to where we can have a little local place here on the homestead where people can come from our surrounding community who maybe don't have access to fresh organic fruits and vegetables and eggs, and can come here and get them. I would like to do that and keep the prices comparable to non-organic things, just so it's hard, folks, when you're trying hard to do good and you just can't afford the better vegetables and fruits and meats. It's difficult. I can speak from experience because this is where we're at. I feel like I'm not doing good enough for my family, and I'm not, you know, providing well enough for my family. I'm not doing enough. I'm not working hard enough. I'm not managing our money hard enough. There's the kids in the background. But the all actuality is we do the best we can, and we just have to go with that. I don't ever try to sway anybody one way or the other about your nutrition, because it's your body. But for us, that's the reason why we started a garden, and why we're getting chickens, and why we try hard to buy only organic meat, which is basically chicken and turkey, because I don't eat beef or seafood or pork. Nick's mom cooks dinner for us usually once or twice a week, which is very nice. So we go up there, and typically there'll be, well, she does chicken for me just about every day, but typically, let me get these sunglasses. We go up to Nick's mom and dad's about once a week, sometimes twice a week for dinner. We see them throughout the week, but so sometimes he gets his meat, his red meat and pork up there, but as far as down here, I don't cook it because I don't eat it, and he's got, you know, we both have medical reasons why we don't need to necessarily eat red meat anyway. So, and I'm not saying red meat's bad. I'm saying, you know, you probably shouldn't go to a fast food place 5 times a week and get a hamburger. Kind of bad. But fresh, organic, grass-fed, grass-finished beef is probably fine. But again, everything and anything in moderation. So just to kind of give you a heads up of what we're doing on our homestead. It might look completely different from yours. I watch several people, and everything's different, and sometimes I see comments that are, well, you know, you need to be more like so-and-so, or you need to be more like so-and-so's channel, or you need to be more like my neighbor who has it. No, you don't. You just need to be you. Whatever works for you guys, whatever works for me is what we're gonna do on our homestead. Whatever works for you is what you should do on yours. And so hopefully it gives you a little confidence to know that even if you're brand new to it, I'm brand new to everything. So we're getting it done this year. We do have land. We have 13 acres, but maybe you don't have that much. Maybe you have a backyard, or maybe you have a patio. You can also grow things inside. So whatever that looks like for you, whatever makes whatever makes sense for you is what you should do, not comparing yourself to someone else. I think we get down that rabbit hole quite a bit and feel less than and not good enough, and it gives us the want to go out and charge a bunch of material. You know, Nick and I in particular have talked about getting some cattle panel instead of the T-post. We've talked about building a greenhouse. We've talked about putting a few things in the garden that are kind of decorative, just to make it a real peaceful place that you want to go outside of when you're out there working the garden. And all that's great, but right now I'm not gonna go into debt to make a Pinterest worthy, YouTube worthy, Instagram worthy garden that just, you know, all people just fall over thinking how beautiful it is. It's beautiful to us, and so that's what's important, and our goal is to bless our family and friends with it. So kind of keep that in mind too. We're not going to go in debt on this homestead trying to make all these things happen. We've done a lot this year, and we've spent a decent amount. The fencing was not cheap. We had to save for that. We didn't just go out and get it. We had to save for it. The rocker that Nick got me, we got that because we had saved for it. I didn't know he was going to get it for me, but we had saved money for said rocker. The black tarping, that's $50 for a 100-foot roll, and I think we ended up having to get 5 or 6 rolls to get that all down, plus the stakes to stake it down. So it's not cheap, and we've budgeted for so much. And a lot of the material for the chicken coop we got, we didn't pay for it, secondhand. Some things people were trying to get rid of, so we went and picked up those blue barrels. Somebody had posted on Facebook Marketplace that they needed to get rid of them. They had 20, and by the time Nick was able to get there, he had 4. So he got the 4 that we think we're going to need for rain catchment to help water the garden, the goats, and the chickens. And we've just been kind of piecing it together one by one. But I think we as a society feel a rush to hurry up and get out there and make it look like what we see pictures and photos and videos of, and just go at your own pace. It'll be beautiful to you because you did it. So I encourage you with that. Hopefully that encourages you. Sometimes I think, man, I want to get, you know, I have a list of everything I want to get, and then I think, what fun is that going to be if I go out and buy all of this stuff, you know, go out and buy a chicken coop and go out and buy a greenhouse and go out and do all this, and then I'm $10,000 in debt with a garden. What's the point of that? You know, it replaces the happiness with stress, because now we have added debt and interest. So we're enjoying it. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I hope you enjoy coming along on the journey. I'm going to quit rambling, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye, friends.